Greetings, beings. It's Rev J back with a Mercury Retrograde survival kit for all y'all who've been hearing about Mercury Retrograde and wondering what kinds of things you can do to make it a little easier on yourself. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be walking you through a slideshow here. So, instructions for use. Open and share this presentation for a quick refresher if you are or someone you know is feeling the strain that many people experience while Mercury, our winged messenger friend, is retrograde. Why does this happen anyway? I get this email all the time. People have asked me many times, why does this happen? Is it even real? Is it something that, people are just making up? And, the thing is that we don't know so much about Mercury. We haven't actually been on it, but many scientists actually believe that it's composed primarily of an iron core. It's actually got a really thin crust, and the rest of it they suspect might be iron. And so essentially, it's like a massive magnet. And when it starts whooshing between the sun and the earth, it's pretty much like a big cosmic magnet is just whooshing past us. And so that can have a lot of implications on how things work, especially since we have so much technology and satellites and things that receive electric impulse. And so since Mercury's orbit is an 88-day orbit versus our orbit here on Earth that's just a little over 365 days, we're going to get a retrograde happening somewhere between 3 to 4 times a year. So it's just good to know what's happening. And personally, me, I treat it like if it was my girlfriend's period. I'd mark it on the calendar. You want to know what's going on. It's paying attention to cosmic weather and just knowing when certain things might need a little bit of adjustment or closer attention to detail. So back on that, our Earth's magnetic field would definitely be affected by such a big magnet if it were coming at us in so many different ways. So anything that's electronic, it's likely that the way it functions might be affected by a huge magnet passing through the system. But a lot of times, mechanical things that fail happen because something was already weak or maybe borderlining on broken, and in other cases just because of the strain. And so what's funny is that things will kind of like mysteriously get better once Mercury is going direct again and has passed through the shadow, or what's called the shadow side. The other thing that's interesting is how it affects living beings like humans and animals, because our nervous systems are actually, they work on electric impulses. So that could be a lot of strain. If you're around a lot of magnets, just think about what happens when people go for things like MRIs. And so, a lot of things can change in a body just depending on what is in the arena. And a lot of times people that are sensitive are going to feel the effects of Mercury retrograde even if they're not aware of what is actually happening. So good rule of thumb is just to take it easy when you can. Do the things that are going to relax you. If you start feeling tense or rushed, or like you're some kind of frustrated, it's a good time to just take a deep breath. And if you need to take another deep breath, it's okay. Take another deep breath. And in some cases, if you can walk away and just give yourself a break, let yourself do it. It's a good time to keep that in mind. So it's, reminding me a lot of what it is to be patient. And I found this really cool quote from Paulo Coelho. I'm going to read it to you here. The 2 hardest tests on the spiritual road are the patience to wait for the right moment and the courage not to be disappointed with what we encounter. And that's from his work, Veronica Decides to Die. And it's just good to keep in mind that when things are revisited, which I'm going to get into the re's here in a minute, but when things are revisited, which happens a lot of times when retrogrades come around, in this case, a lot of times it has to deal with communications and things, and sometimes like missed opportunities. It's important to give yourself the space to just observe what's happening, and it's easier said than done, but to not attach to what it is that shows up. And so these can be really karmic times, and karma can sometimes be uncomfortable. And I'm going to break down the re's now for you on the next several slides, because it's a time for retrogrades are times for redos, revisions, and all kinds of things coming back into the orbit. So I've broken down on the next several slides 5 re's to help you glide with grace. Realize, remember, renew, review, and relax. And I'm actually going to detail these on the next slides too. So starting here with number 1, realize. Realize that Murphy's Law is notorious for happening now. So keep it in mind, especially when you're working with others. Be prepared to literally repeat things, clarify your words, and sometimes even take additional steps to make sure that the things that you're discussing are really understood and that you have the best chance of success. So in some cases, it might even be best to wait to do some things until after the retrograde shadow period. That can include signing contracts, making new arrangements, buying new things, especially large purchases or anything that's got mechanical side to it or electronics, because a lot of times things end up needing a lot of work, or they have to be redone or revised, or they just get reversed. So keep it in mind. Murphy's Law says that, if it can go wrong, it's going to go wrong. They must have been talking about Mercury retrogrades, put it that way. So just keep that in mind and realize that as you're going in. Number 2, remember. Remember what you've learned from the past, because this is a time when situations and people and all kinds of X's might just show up. And since this is all about resolving karma, it's good to just remember the things that we learned from the stuff that happened before. Sometimes there was a symbol that we might have learned from different experiences or people, and you might bump into them this time of year. So a good question to keep in mind is, hey, do I really want a repeat lesson of that? Number 3, renew. When I say renew here, I'm really talking about the self. This is a great time to renew yourself. If you're into spa treatments or health programs, anything like that, now is a great time to just renew your commitment to prioritizing how you take care of yourself. And maybe you had some hobbies or things that you were doing that kept you in your business, in your zone, feeling your best, or like you're achieving goals that you really wanted versus being pulled into other people's stuff. This is a great time to focus on that. I like to call that constructive hermiting. Number 4, review. Now is a great time to review, and I will say re-review and proofread and reread anything that has to do with communication, especially if it's documents, contracts, anything dealing with your personal business affairs. And in some cases, if you can have communications with people and you can do it written, this is a good time to do it. Just make sure you reread and be careful if you're replying to lots of people, because this is just a time where things can go a little bizarro and wonky. So a lot of times it's a good time to consider it like your quarterly review point for the year and just check and see what's been working, what hasn't been working, and kind of go through life with a fine-tooth comb to just prepare you for what's next on the horizon. Number 5, and certainly not the least of them, you could certainly bump this one up to the top of the list in my opinion, relax. This is a great time to find new ways to incorporate relaxation into your day. Maybe you've been interested in relaxation techniques or things that you can do for yourself, but it's a great time to find different healthy ways to sort of de-stress and inject a little bit of stress relief into life. So definitely try to work that in, and I'm going to leave you on that and say thanks for checking out this video. Please share it with a friend if you feel like it could be helpful for them. If you'd like to book a personal reading with me, you can find out about how I offer those readings at artoflove.me/services, or you can just book me straight away at tarotbytribe.com/book me. Take care, God bless, and we'll catch you again soon. Bye for now.